Hey guys, today we're going to be covering one of the most interesting positions in the game, the A-site overpass rifler. Now, typically there is a rifler and an AWPer that play towards the A-site, and this video will be focusing on the rifle player specifically, but there will be a couple of things that you can take away from this video, even if you usually AWP on Overpass. So starting off with initial utility, you have a few options, but typically you will always be throwing a Molotov that lands at T stairs. To throw this Molotov, you simply need to aim at the middle of this line on the wall and then running jump throw just before you pass the bench on the right here. This is going to take a little bit of practice, but once you get it down, you got it down. From here, you have a couple of options. If you were playing passive, you would generally be using your smoke early to deny any early bathrooms control. To throw the smoke, you simply need to bounce it off this wall, or you can bounce it just above this bin if you're going through the bathroom side. Practice this a couple of times in Nader, and you'll have this down perfect. Spinx also likes to throw a couple of different nades in this scenario. One of the best is this nade, where you stand in this corner outside of bathrooms and aim at this spot here on the stairs. Then you simply want to running jump throw the nade. This will do a great amount of damage to players who are moving through playground early, the path towards the long side. The other nade that Spinx likes to throw is a little bit more complicated, but is definitely worth learning. Basically, you just want to run up, jump on this bin below party, and then you want to jump again, strafing to the left, and throw your nade once you are looking at the edge of this hedge on top. Now, this is going to take a lot of time to practice and perfect, so make sure you are hopping onto Nader and practicing this nade before you attempt to use it in your games. So like I said, using all this utility early is what you want to be doing if you are playing more passive towards the A site. So with this utility, Spinx will either rotate around to long, bathrooms, or the site, and this is usually dependent on where your AWPer is playing, as depending on their position, you may need to support them with a flash or a smoke. If your AWPer is playing deep long, you will usually be free to roam around the bathrooms like what Spinx does in this round. A lot of the time in the late rounds, you will want to be playing some of these following angles that Spinx likes to play. These specific angles are really good to play even if you don't have a teammate to support you, as you can really catch players off guard that are trying to progress up on the A site. However, if you do have an additional teammate watching your back, it definitely helps. Now, like I mentioned, playing around your AWPer is very strong on Overpass, so here is a pretty sick setup that you can run with you and your AWPer. Spinx, as usual, is going to be throwing his T stairs Molotov. Afterwards, he will be moving to this position just behind the bin underneath party. This is a pretty sick off angle where you are also partially hidden behind the bin, making it very difficult to see you. Let's quickly take a look at Zywoo in this round. Early on, he will be throwing a Molotov which is similar to the T-Stairs Molotov we have seen before, however this one is going to be landing in playground. This Molotov is really good to facilitate an aggressive play from the CT side, as the T side cannot progress as quickly through both the T-Stairs and the playground Molotov. To throw this Molotov, you want to aim to the left on top of this little smudge on the wall here, and you want to jump throw just as you pass divider. After throwing this Molotov, Zywoo will be playing anti-flash while jumping up onto party, just to avoid any early flashes from the T side, and then he's going to hold a really nice off angle to kill any players moving towards long. This setup is sick because both players are able to cover each other while both playing aggressive off angles, which gives them a really high chance of finding success in their individual duels. Now, if you want to make an aggressive play on your own, you can try this specific play here from Spinx. He's going to throw his fountain smoke and decides to run through it to play aggressive in this fountain area. Now, a lot of players aren't going to be ready for this type of push, as typically they're going to be looking towards the fountain, not to the right of this smoke where you are running through. This kind of play can also grant you a ton of information. In this round specifically, Shuhei is going to throw a few pieces of utility, and since there are no players to follow up this utility, Spinx is going to be pushing up to get some info. In this round, he finds a bunch of kills onto players who may not have fully expected him to be pushed up so far. Now, another position that you will likely be playing fairly often is in connector. There are a ton of little off angles in this position, and this is a really good spot to play if you are on a low or force buy. Now, the only problem with the connector position on CT is that you need someone to be covering the top of connector so that a T-side player cannot walk down and simply shoot you in the back. But definitely mixing it up and playing connector in some of these rounds can catch a lot of T-side players off guard, as maybe they're used to getting connected for free and then suddenly you're there holding the position. The interesting thing about Overpass is that it is a really big map, and because of this, information is key. As the A-site rifler, you will often be the player to find gaps in the opponent's defense. A lot of this time, this will be happening towards the long position or the bathrooms position, and a lot of players on T-side will prefer to take control of bathrooms before taking control of long, simply due to the presence of the AWP being incredibly strong towards long. In this specific round, Spinx is going to try and get some information in the mid round. Now, it's important to note why he does this. Since there is less than a minute left on the clock, Cloud9 would have to make a huge rotation to get towards either A or B if they wanted to choose a site. So if no players are towards Fountain, Vitality could simply lean over to the B site, or if there are players towards Fountain, Spinx is able to backstab them. And you can see just how well this works out for Spinx, as he is completely able to take over the round and disrupt Cloud9's attack. The final thing that I want to touch on here is that both the A site Rifler and the AWPer are often the stars on Overpass. It's super important that you know how to ask for support and provide it yourself. There are plenty of rounds where Spinx will ask for flashes from his teammates, and because of this he is able to find an incredible amount of impact with first kills and information. The same is going to go for ZywOo, of course. While he doesn't usually need flashes to peak positions, he will often need them to help him escape danger. And this deadly combination between the AWPer and the Rifler on A site is key to winning on CT side Overpass. So as we begin to end the video, I'll show you a couple of lineups that Vitality used to support the A site Rifler, but generally speaking, these lineups are fairly loose. Thanks for watching, leave a like if you found this video helpful, and as always, check out refrag.gg for the tools I use to create these videos. Peace out.